You're listening to the Parents of Hardworking Teens podcast, episode 111. A real-life example of a student who intentionally left out the introduction of their extended response in an exam, didn't get time to go back and write it in, and what that meant for their result. So stay tuned because it may not be what you think. I'm Katie Jones, and with over 15 years in education as an award-winning high school teacher, international external examiner, and as a study coach, I've helped thousands of students skyrocket their results and confidence. And this podcast is where I share all my insights, tactics, and tips with you, the parent, so you can help your hardworking teen get happy, smart, and successful in their study, and have you both enjoy the journey along the way. This is the Parents of Hardworking Teens podcast. Hey VIPs, I hope you and your teens are doing great. I am amazing. I still have unopened boxes, although given that I have no idea anymore about what is actually in the remaining boxes, and we've clearly lived without them for weeks, over a month now, I'm in half a mind just to get rid of them. I mean, I won't just get rid of them because I'm not that bold or brave, but I will say every time I move, I actually find that unpacking is a better decluttering operation or exercise than the packing. Because what I find is I open a box and then go, really? Where am I going to put this? And why did I decide that this must definitely come with us? And the answer is almost always just in case, just in case I need it, or just because I think that it might be useful. And that can be our segue for today's episode. It's going to get me off the topic of moving and boxes, because just in case, or it might be useful, are phrases and thoughts that I refer to a fair bit when talking about students and their assessments and essays and exam answers. Because, and I am most definitely included in this back when I was a student, big time included in this. So many students try to write in extra information or write more than is required just in case. Just in case they didn't answer the question right. So they put some more information in just in case. Or just in case there are some extra bonus marks available somewhere. Or they think, I'm going to put in this extra information because I have worked hard to learn it and I want to show the marker how knowledgeable I am. Well, spoiler, there are no bonus marks, especially in the upper years of high school and college. These are not like years 7 or 8 where you can get extra ticks and gold stars, smiley faces, and teacher acknowledgement for going over and above, doing more than was required, or showing extra research and that bonus knowledge, extra facts. And if you want more on that, go to episode 103, How Year 7 Success Can Sabotage Senior Study. Because, in my mind at least, from an examiner's perspective, who's just looking for clear, direct responses, looking for evidence to match up to the mark scheme, and as a study coach who wants students to achieve their best in the most efficient and effective and sustainable way, I am most impressed by and all about the most focused, direct, and succinct responses. Those that hit the top criteria and do it without extraneous information, without the waffle or tangents, without bonus facts or extra knowledge there to try and impress. Putting in extra information, just in case, usually comes from two places or two thoughts or headspaces. Either your teen is guessing at what is required, they're not really sure, or there's some uncertainty, so they're trying to cover as many of those bases as possible, or they're trying to pick up those imaginary bonus marks by trying to impress the teacher or examiner with their extra knowledge. And a student I recently had an end of 10-week grade transformation program consult with, along with his mum, used to do both of those. A bit of guessing and a bit of trying to impress the marker with the extra knowledge that he had, which meant that he often ran out of time when it came to timed assessments, tests, and exams. And I want to share with you one specific assessment that he told me about since he completed the 10WGT. I think seeing or hearing how some of this actually looks in real life can be really helpful. So I'm going to share a real life example of something, a very specific event and situation that a student has had happen on the ground in real life at the coalface, so that you and your team can see proof and real life examples of some of the concepts and strategies that I teach in action. Now, I'm going to be changing names here just for examples that I share that aren't on recorded testimonials, public case studies, though they will definitely know who they are when they hear this. So here's what happened. Mark had completed the 10-week grade transformation program and had recently completed Catapult 9, Essays Made Easy, and then had a chance to almost instantly put that training into practice as he sat an extended response question in a test assessment. Now, an extended response is not an essay, and it's not quite the same as an essay, but that's the first reason why this is such a great example to share, because the concepts, the skills, and the strategies that I train students in are universal. And I spoke about this in detail on last week's episode in 110. And so that means that a lot of what applies to an essay applies to other extended tasks as well. And Mark not only took this on board, he got it, but he actually did it. He carried over the skills involved in planning, structuring, and then writing an essay and applied them beautifully to an extended response question. Now, he also shared that he is still a work in progress and is still developing the skill of answering questions directly and succinctly, because on reflection, he knew that he had written more than he needed to for an earlier 6-mark question in that test, in that exam, which in itself is great awareness, right? Because what happened was that when he got to that 10-mark question at the end of the paper, even though he was short on time, he followed my exact steps on how to tackle an essay question, how to plan, and how to structure his response. Now, there are a few strategies and steps to doing this, and one of them is to write the intro last. I always advise students to focus on the body paragraphs first, and this is for a few reasons. One reason is simply because it is hard to write an introduction when you haven't written the actual content that you're supposed to be introducing. It is no wonder that students often find it hard to get going with an extended response or an essay, is it? If they're approaching it chronologically rather than strategically, because they're trying to start out by writing an introduction when they don't actually have anything to introduce yet. And another reason to focus on the body paragraphs is because the body is where you get the majority of the marks. That is where you have your evidence, the quotes and examples. It's where you have the explanations and the analysis and the links. It's the meat of actually responding to and answering the question. If they are actually answering the question, of course, which is why it's so important to be able to dissect the question and truly understand what it's really asking in the first place. But like I said, Mark has been great at taking on and really applying the 10WGT training. So Mark had been able to do that. He got the question dissected and he got stuck into planning and then writing the body of his response. He then wrote a short conclusion, and then the time was up. He had run out of time to write the introduction. He literally had blank lines, a big gap at the top of his response space where his introduction would have gone. But he wasn't too stressed or worried. He didn't feel great, of course, not getting everything finished, but he didn't panic because he'd followed the steps and understood the concepts behind those steps. How mark schemes work, the importance of dissecting and responding to the exact wording of and the level of the question. And he had the skills to do those things, and he knew he'd matched his examples and his evidence to the focus of the question and was able to predict what would be required in the mark scheme. And so, although he was still, yes, in the boat of having run out of time in an exam, he did get to all of the questions, which was in itself a big improvement. And when he got the results back, he had gotten, for that 10-mark question, 8 out of 10. For a not even complete response that was literally blank at the top. He didn't get a 5 or a 6 that we might think would be maybe about right for a good but incomplete answer. He got 8 out of 10 for a question that he previously wouldn't have even likely gotten to. And if he had, he would have started at the introduction and would have gotten some of those low-level marks for that intro and then missed out on the marks for the high-level stuff, like discerning selection of supporting evidence and detailed analysis of that evidence, all of which happens in the body of that extended response. So I share this example to show 3 things. 1, that these systems and processes work. 2, that when your teen is under pressure, that's the exact time to use these techniques and strategies as opposed to revert to their old ways, because it would have been so easy for Mark to fall back into old habits in the stress of the moment with time ticking away and just start answering with an introduction. But he didn't. He used the steps and strategies and reaped the reward. And thirdly, to show how, when your teen has these skills and steps and understands the underlying concepts that go into creating them, they can apply these universally. Because this wasn't an actual essay, but the concept and what was required was the same. And Mark saw that and was able to act on it. So shout out to Mark, not Mark. His mum will totally know who this is when she listens. You have done an awesome job. And a shout out to you, listener, VIP. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you being here, and I would love to know what you think of this episode, the real life example, the real life student and their experience, because I have plenty more where this came from, and I will continue to look out for these sorts of things specifically in future as well to share with you if you enjoy them. You can email me, support@rocksolidstudy.com, and let me know, or you can pop it in a review on whichever app or platform that you are listening to this on. And while you're there, you may as well leave a rating as well. It's only one extra tap of the thumb. I will see you back here next week. And until then, have a brilliant week. Take care. Bye for now. If you're ready to have your teen achieve their best possible results with less stress, then I want to invite you to enroll them in the 10-week Grade Transformation Program, where they're going to learn the key concepts, skills, and strategies to catapult their performance in assessments and exams. It's risk-free. They either achieve bigger and better results with a whole lot more confidence in 10 weeks, or we refund you in full. Just head over to www.rocksolidstudy.com/program, and I'll see you there.